go. This is the Travis Neville podcast. My name is Travis Neville. I wrote a couple of books. This one called The Jossman Method, and this one here, which will be in print within the next 2 weeks. At least that's what the publisher tells me. I don't know. It's tough leaving that out in somebody else's hands. I really don't like doing that if I don't have to, but it is what it is. I'm not a publisher. Sometimes you got to hire people. That's life. So, been a really eventful last few weeks, as you guys have seen. I mean, the last two shows I put out were interview shows where I got to talk to really interesting people. Alexi Turner was awesome. I mean, she's so sharp and smart and really knowledgeable when it comes to, dating and relationships and stuff like that. It just was so cool to be able to get her take on so much stuff there. I thought we had a great conversation. And then I had the opportunity, it just happened that they were back-to-back to go to meet Sven Erlandson. And if you haven't read his book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup, it's pretty good. And when we talk about a lot of kind of the high-level stuff from that book, he's got 5 other books. I think he has 6 total. But great conversation with him, too. I drove to New York City to do that, which was pretty neat. Weird situation. I was on my way back, and I was heading out of New York City, and I was on the phone, and I kind of wasn't paying attention. Not that I really knew where I was going anyway, but I was on the phone, and after a couple hours, I got off the phone, and I looked, and man, it had taken me due north, like it was trying to get me to go through Canada to get home, because I live in Michigan, right? And which would make sense. I mean, that's a direct route, but I'm thinking, fuck, I'm not vaccinated, and I'm carrying a fucking gun. I'm not going to try to do an international border crossing right now. That sounds like a problem. So I ended up having I was in New York for like 2/3 of the trip, and it sucked because I was about 2 hours from getting back out of New York and into Pennsylvania. And it just occurred to me to do a quick Google search. I was at the gas station, and basically if you have a CPL from another state and they pull you over and you got a firearm in the car, like, you're going to fucking jail. Like New York, California, and Illinois. Holy shit, the 3 biggest cities, liberal centers. That's what they'll do to you for carrying a gun, for exercising your Second Amendment rights. So I'm like, what the fuck do I do here? So I broke down my gun and put the gun itself, and I got to keep a safe under the seat. And I have a way to pop the window control thing off the side of off the door. Like, I can pop that little panel off, and I was like, I'm going to put my ammo in there. I'll put my gun in the safe, and then if they even get into the safe, at least it's not loaded. I can say I don't know the count. Like, I was working out all these scenarios in my head, just fucking counting the seconds till I got the fuck out of New York State, which, I don't know, that was uncomfortable. I was making up scenarios in my mind, I'm sure, but fucking, they got shit speed limits too. Like, there's no highway in New York that's faster than 65. Like, holy shit, like, I'm going to be on the road for 12 hours today, and I'm doing 65. So, of course I'm going a little faster than that, because I think it's pretty obvious if you're doing the speed limit that you're 100 or 100 years old, or you're hiding something if you're doing the speed limit. I mean, that's how I look at it. On the highway, in the middle of nowhere, right? I'm in fucking upstate New York. There's nothing there. Anyway, that was an interesting situation, and I got, actually, during that drive, I got a chance to kind of brush myself up on the Russia and Ukraine situation, which, I don't like to go too political on this, but I think that and my buddy Dan, who's a smart guy, sent me this link to this, this really sharp professor who was talking about it. And I'm like, shit, I'm on a long drive, listen to this guy talk. Basically what he said was, it makes complete sense what Putin's doing. I mean, think about this. Russia is they're communist, right? And they got China over there too, and that's communism. That's what they do. And between him and Europe, Europe's NATO, right? Same as us, democratic, all that stuff. And so those are kind of the bad guys, right? According to, if you're a Russian, you're anti-democracy and you're pro-communism. Which you could argue a lot of dumb motherfuckers here in the U.S. and especially Canada are thinking that way too, because they're idiots and they don't pay attention to history. Anyway, you think about it this way: if we were, here we are, the U.S. and Russia came over and took over Canada or Mexico or another country that like directly is on our border, do you think that we'd stand for that shit? Probably not. Like, that would be fucking war immediately. There's the Monroe Doctrine that says basically if you do anything in the Western Hemisphere, we as the U.S. are going to take that as a direct assault on us, no matter where it is in the Western Hemisphere. And that's another reason why the Cuban Missile Crisis was such a big deal. Anyway, if you think about it that way, Now you put yourself in the head of Putin, right? He's like, well, this country, you know, Ukraine, is the only thing between me and Europe. The only buffer, the only like kind of pad, the only no man's land sort of between me and the bad guys is the way he's looking at it. And Ukraine was threatening to go join NATO, which would mean that he basically had the enemy at his doorstep. Yeah, he took him over. And I'll tell you what else. That doesn't happen without the current administration that we have in our country. It just doesn't. Because there's nobody there to be afraid of. I mean, who's afraid of Democrats? I mean, unless your last name's Clinton, you're pretty much harmless if you're a Democrat. You're all about people's feelings, and so you're not scary, you know. And that guy over there, he is scary. Putin's no joke, man. He understands what war is. He understands what being a spy is. He gets all that shit. And, you know, we have leaders right now in our country who don't understand that. They just expect everybody to be nice to everybody and worry about people's feelings. So, of course, he's like, watch that with the way that we bumbled Afghanistan. And he's like, oh, fuck this. I'm taking over Ukraine. No, yeah, this is the perfect time to do it. I better do it before somebody in there is going to punish me for it. So that's what he did. And it makes perfect sense. You know, I don't think he has any kind of agenda towards us. I don't think that he wants to take down the United States. And if we get a little bit weaker, he will. I mean, why wouldn't he? We got a lot of resources over here that he could take. Lots of countries are going to look at us that way the weaker we get and the less we kind of don't do anything about that shit. But anyway, that's Russia. That's the Ukraine. Whatever. That's what's going on over there. I really don't think it affects us too much. Not directly. I mean, you know, but like I said, if somebody tries to take over here, we have a political system right now, people in power who are pussies. They're not going to do anything. We got a great military, but they follow orders from our politicians. So, you know what I mean? Like, that's the issue. Now, of course, I mean, if it gets to the Red Dawn scenario, which, you know, because if it happens, that's how it's going to go, people will be stupid. You need to be stupid to take over the U.S., right? I mean, here are the numbers. There are 331 roughly million people here in the U.S. 331 million. We have like 400 something thousand or 400 something million guns. It works out to 1.3 firearms for, these are just privately owned firearms. 1.3 firearms for every soul. That's everybody who was born a second ago to somebody who's going to die a second from now. So the entire population of the U.S. has more than one gun apiece. That's how well armed we are. So if you try to take us over, you'd be an idiot. In World War II, I think it was the Japanese that said, no, you'd be stupid to attack the American continent because there's a gun behind every blade of grass. And make no mistake about it, you might not like guns, and that's fine. You know, you get to live in a country here where people who aren't afraid of guns are going to protect you and take care of you. That's the country you live in. You're welcome, essentially. Like, I'm not in the military, but I'm a gun guy, and, you know, I got trained and all that stuff, so I know how that stuff works. I'm not afraid of it. That's what it is. So if you guys are afraid of World War III happening, it might, but it's not going to happen here. It's not going to happen on U.S. soil. Not here in the continental U.S. I mean, nuclear war, that's stupid too. I mean, that's MAD, mutually assured destruction. That guy, you know, Putin would have to be crazy because he knows that as soon as he launches one nuke over here, we're going to make his country not exist anymore. Like, there's enough firepower. He's got that kind of firepower too, but I don't think he's going to launch it all. I mean, you know what I mean? If you're worried about World War III, you're fine. And quit blaming the fucking gas prices on Putin too, because it isn't him. It's, if you look at the chart, and I'll put it up here. I put this on Instagram the other day. Gas prices have been rising since we got a Democrat in office, since the liberal took over, because it's all about, well, we got to help the environment and we can't make any more oil, but so then we'll burn other people's oil. Like, now we get it from someplace else. Anyway, I don't want to get too political, but that's what's going on. I want to talk about this. Getting your shit together. I just recorded a show with a divorce attorney. She's a real sharp lady, real nice. She lives in Pennsylvania. We had a great conversation about relationships and what usually goes wrong and what mistakes men make and what mistakes women make and how society is involved in that and all these different things that, you know, we talk about all the time. But this idea of we started to talk about young younger people. You know what I mean? And she's like, well, she's in her 40s. I'm in my 40s. So we're talking about the things that we're seeing. You know, like she's seeing people our age getting divorced who have kids in middle school and this kind of thing. And I asked her, well, what do you think about, well, the younger kids are, you know, people in their 20s and 30s, they don't think that way. Things are different for them. She didn't really understand that. So I kind of dug into it. And I realized that I didn't have a lot of research on that. So I did the research. And I started looking at some numbers here. And here I'm going to put up this graphic of people ages 25 to 35, I think it says, who are actually, I can look at it here so I can fucking see it myself. 25 to 35 who are still living at home over time. Okay, and it breaks it down into generations. And goddamn, this thing is slow when I'm trying to record. I might need to get a new laptop because I clicked on that thing 10 seconds ago and it's still not up. That drives me nuts, you know. Anyway, it's long story short. As time has gone by, it's a really high percentage of 15% of millennials in 2016, from age 25 to 35, are still living in their parents' house. It's pretty fucking high. You're in your early 30s and 15% of you are still living at home. That's kind of fucked up, right? And I don't have a graphic for this, but from 18 to 25, the age of people who are living at home, it's skyrocketed. Like it's like 40% of people do. You know, up to age 25 are still living at home. So here is my advice to you, motherfucker. If you're still living at home at 25, first I'm going to tell you this. I didn't even start college till I was 21. But I had my degree by the time I was 25. Okay? I was done with school. Okay, so if you've taken that long, that's on you. Actually, I'm going to expand it out too. I can't stand this, the amount of people who want to take onus off of these fucking kids. You know, when a kid acts out in school and becomes an asshole and hits a kid, all of a sudden he's getting they want him to have an assessment by a psychologist. It's not his fault. He's got some sort of a diagnosis. No, he just fucking hit a kid. Own it. The kid, he fucking did that. That's on him. Punish the kid. Okay? That's why people are still living at home, because parents don't ever go, you know what, get your shit together. I'm not going to blame myself for you being a shitbag. Get the fuck out there and get your shit together. If parents did that, more kids would leave on their own. Or at least, you know, at 18, 19, if you're not going to go to college or whatever, or if you do and you got your degree done, I would think that'd be a thing that you'd want. You'd want to get the fuck out of the house. I did an internet search. I'm like, well, advice to 25-year-olds, right? And I kept coming up with the same thing. I kept coming up with these people who are 25, 26, 27 saying, I still live at home. Should I even try to date? You know, because I've never been with a woman. And I'm like, dude, you just outlined your entire fucking problem there. You know what I mean? Now, let me back that up for a second. I was thinking earlier, a couple of days ago, I was thinking about what advice would I give my 25-year-old self? So 20 years ago, here I am at 45. I'm going to give my 25-year-old self some advice. And my advice would have been this. Spend way less focus on women. And for me, it wasn't about getting with a bunch of women. It was never that. It's never been that in my life. It's always been finding the right one. There's always been this clock ticking in the back of my head, like I got to find the fucking right one. And I think, ironically, that's why I'm single today. I put too much stress on that, which is what I would have told my 25-year-old self. Less stress on that. Less time spent, less energy spent worried about women, and far more time spent worried about money or building assets or whatever it is. Getting your own place, paying off your car, getting a good job, building your career, money, when it boils down to it. That's the number one thing. Get your ass out there and make some fucking money. Right? But, you know, if you're a kid that age now, your parents can be like, oh, what all that matters is being happy. Well, I'll tell you what, it's tough to fucking find happy when you're living at home and you've never been with a woman. Tough to fucking do. You know, like, the advice, it was crazy, the advice that people were giving these guys who were like, well, you know, that's why you're virgins, because you don't try. You don't go out there and try to date. Like, bro, look at your fucking resume. Look at, what are you bringing to the table? What are you offering? You know, you meet this girl at the bar. Can you walk in or wherever the fuck you meet her, can you walk in and know that you have your shit together? Or are you going to walk in there having to hide shit? Well, I hope she doesn't find out about this. I hope she doesn't find out about that. You want to live your life like that? And the thing that you're worried about is, hey, I live at home. So fucking stop living at home. Go get a job. Get any job. There's last time I checked, there were 11 million open jobs in the U.S. right now. It's not hard to fucking find work. You're a pussy. Get your shit together, right? So there's that. Yeah, that would be my advice. Less time on women, more time on money, and that'll get you where you wanna go. But your goal should be getting you right first before you go out and start trying to fuck with anybody else, right? Get yourself straight. It goes back to the Jordan Peterson thing, right? Make your boat stronger. Flood's coming. You can't stop the fucking tide. You can't stop the water from coming in. All you can do is make yourself better and more able to handle that shit, right? I mean, that's how that goes. And it's never going to stop. That's going to be like that your whole life. So get used to it. Make yourself as good as you can make yourself. And as you're doing that, you know what you're going to run into? Other people who are doing the same thing. You're going to run into great women at the gym who are working hard to get their lives together. You're going to run into great women at your job who are working hard to get their lives together. You're going to run into great women at church. You're going to run into great women doing good things like you do. Live your fucking life. Work hard. Make yourself as good as you can make yourself. You know what I mean? They'll come to you. You'll run into them. That's how that works. Also know this, as far as getting your shit together. This is a real common phrase you hear all the time, more from the women's side, that I don't need no man. You hear that a lot. At least I do, because I mean, at my age, I run into women in their mid-30s up to my age who are they're single moms, and that's their credo. I don't need no man. Well, I think you're a coward, very honestly. I don't need no man. What you're doing is saying that, hey, I got hurt, and I am never going to open myself up to getting hurt again because I'm scared. I'm afraid. Something bad happened. Something bad happened in your relationship, and so you're not going to do that anymore. I don't need no man. And then that becomes your identity. I mean, the way that rolls out is this. Your identity is having your family. And at some point you decide you're unhappy, and you kick him to the curb, and you take his kids and his money, and you leave. Or he leaves, or however it works. And now you need a new identity, since you're not... your life has changed. So your identity becomes, look at me. I am woman, hear me roar, right? And you meet another man, and he's not attracted to that. That's not attractive. Men don't like women who are, look at me, I'm a badass all the time. You're not, that's not attractive to most men. They're like, well, the fuck she need me for then? What she want me around for? I'll go find somebody else, right? And it's cowardice. I talked about that with Sven. He was, we were on the same page on that. He was interested in that idea that, being able to open yourself up and saying and admitting that, yeah, you do need a man. It's a form of strength. You're strong enough to admit that you need some help in some areas, because you do. I'll tell you, you're not supposed to be alone, men or women. You're not. I mean, from a parenting perspective, holy fuck, it makes it almost impossible. I don't know how people do it. Well, actually, I do know how they do it. They do it poorly. And then your kids are still at home at 26 because they didn't get fucking raised right, and their shit's not together. That's what happens. You know what I mean? You need two parents there. You need both influences. You need mom and you need dad. They're both incredibly important. As the kids get older, dad becomes even more important. I would tell you that past age, say 14, dad's influence is far more important than mom's, because dad's going to be the one saying, kind of giving them some deep end of the pool stuff, giving them some repercussions, some negative feedback, really enforcing that delayed gratification idea. That's what dads do, right? And when you don't have that, when you don't learn independence and learn how to be strong on your own, you live at home, And you know what? Here's the other thing. A lot of those women, I don't need no man, but you're living in a house that he paid for, and he's sending you a check every month to pay for his kids, but you don't need no man. I love that shit. That just happened to me a couple weeks ago. I was talking to a woman, and she was like, I'm like, well, you'll make money when you sell your house. Well, no, it's his house. He paid for it. I have to give him half. And I'm like, oh, okay. But, you have a good job. Well, he pays it. But I don't, I'm independent. No, you're not. You know what I mean? No, you're not. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But, You do need a woman. Once you have your shit together as a man, yeah, you do. Okay, it's gonna make your life better. It's like going from riding a bicycle to work to getting a car. It makes your life easier, like in every way. Like it makes it better in every way. You have this beautiful presence in your life. You know what I mean? That looks great. You can take care of it, keep it nice. I take real good care of my vehicles, you know, and keep it clean and really take excellent care of it. Take care of maintenance, whatever it needs, and it'll pay you back by giving you take you wherever you want to reliably, right? And a woman's going to do the same thing, I'd argue, you know. Where do you want to go? How good do you want to be? You know, I was talking to Lexi Turner, and she said that to me. I don't remember if we recorded this or if this was us just talking on the side, but she said that the last 3 men she was with, maybe the last 2, each of them tripled his income while he was with her. And or got a title change or whatever. You know, that phrase that behind every great man is a great woman, that shit's true. Okay? Because the right woman is going to support you, push you, encourage you, help you to go where you want to be. Right? And as you come up with these ideas, she won't boo-hoo them. She's going to say, that sounds fucking awesome. I support you in that. You should do it. You know, like I look at my life. I have a couple of different businesses that I run. The first one that I started, my recruiting company, I was with another woman when I started that, and I'd been with her for years. And I was like, you know, I think I want to go off on my own. And I've got this really good job right now, but I think I can go off on my own, make a lot more money. And she was like, fucking do it. You should. That sounds awesome. And very frankly, it was not her personality to do that because she was very fear-driven. But I'm so thankful that she did, because if she would have boo-hooed it, I don't know if I'd have started that business. And it's supported me really well for the last 5+ years. You know what I mean? And it's expanded into other business and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would have done that, because I feel an obligation to my partner. Like, hey, we're doing this together. If you're not in, then I can't, you know, I probably am not going to be that into it. If you're going to be, you know, dragging me down every time I try to do this thing, well, it's not worth it to me. So I won't go, you know, I won't do it, whatever it is. But she was all in. She was like, yeah, absolutely. Fucking, hey, do it. And the thing fucking exploded. Like it's done really well. So yes, you do need a woman, but don't try to go get one until you have your shit together. Okay? Now you can date, you can talk to women, do whatever, but don't try making that, hey, this is going to be a permanent relationship. Don't try that until you have your shit together. Now you meet somebody in college and that's how it goes. Cool, good for you. You're lucky. You got that part of your life already locked down. But if you get, you know, you graduate and you're working, at that point, less focus on it and more focus on you and building yourself, because you got the time and the energy and the situation to do it. And remember that, don't forget this piece. I know it sounds fucking shallow. You keep hearing this term gold digger or, you know, sugar daddy and all this crap, but it's legit. Like, as shallow as it sounds, women want to be provided for. Why wouldn't they? If they had the choice between a guy who really does well financially and a guy who doesn't, all other things being equal, why wouldn't they go for the guy with more money? Makes sense. A woman wants to be provided for. They want to be taken care of at their core. And there's nothing wrong with that. It goes back to a genetic DNA thing. In the fucking cave, you know, they need a couple of things. They need food and they need protection from saber-toothed tigers and shit like that. It's built into their DNA. It's a thing they're going to want. So get yourself in a position where you can give that to them. Why not? You're better if you can. It's exactly the same thing. As shallow as it sounds on the surface, it goes back to caveman mentality. The whole idea that men, when they, you know, they prefer younger women. You know, I had a person who should not have been saying this to me tell me that I date younger women so that I can control them. Like, you fucking asshole. I've known you since a long ass time ago, and you're gonna say that about me when it's all I've ever wanted is to have a family. And women my own age either already have one or are getting close to not being able to have one. Right? That's just the way it is. So I have to date women 10 years younger than I am. This is how it goes. I'm all right with that. That's fine. But there's a genetic piece to it. Women will say that, you know, that's shallow. Oh, you only date her because she's so hot. Well, from a genetic standpoint, you seek to continue your DNA, continue your family line, your bloodline. And the more attractive she is, the more attractive your kid's going to be, and therefore your kid will be able to continue your genetic line. That's why you do it as a man. That's what's built into us DNA-wise. So women on a shallow end, they want money. And men on the shallow end want a really good-looking girl. It's true. I mean, it's true. That's how it goes. And we're wired that way. I mean, you can right up here in your forebrain, oh, I'm not going to do it that way. Good luck, man. Because that's your core level. It's what you want. You know, how many women are you going to find that are cool with you living at home? Going back to what we were talking about. None. They're all going to tell you, oh, I want a man with heat. Why'd you leave him? How about that? We'll go this way. Why'd you leave him? Well, he didn't have any ambition, women will say. He didn't have any ambition. He didn't have any passion. I want a man with passion and ambition. Well, what the fuck is that? What does passion and ambition get you? Gets you fucking money. It gets you paid, right? If you're ambitious, you move on, you get a better job, you make more money. If you have passion, you're driven, and you're gonna go make more money. That's how that goes, right? You could say it any way you want to, but that's the fact of the matter. You know, women like money, men like hot young women. And why young? Why does young make sense? I mean, I told you logically the situation that I'm in, but for everybody else, it's exactly the same thing. The younger the woman is, the more able she is to bear children, the longer she'll be able to bear children, right? The more easily she'll recover from having children. I mean, that's really the goal, right? Ultimately, genetically, why are we driven to fuck? It's to make babies. That's in our DNA to do that, to reproduce. That's why you have a sex drive, to make kids. And that's why you choose good-looking people, so you can make good-looking kids who will continue your bloodline. It's as simple as fucking plain as the nose on your face, right? That's how that goes. I don't know. You know, I read this book called Guyland. I'll put it up here. And this dude, like, I reached out to him. I tried to find him. Like, I keep trying to reach out to him because, in general, the book, it does a good job of describing. The guy's name's Michael Kimmel. He's a PhD. He works at a college. I can't remember which one, but it does a great job of describing that 16 to 26-year-old male and what they are like in our country currently. And he does a pretty good job of describing that. And he, you know, I mean, to me, this is all stuff that I knew. I've done the research forever. Plus, I've been a dude my whole life, right? So I already knew it. But what I was looking for when I read this book was, I was really looking for a solution. Because he talks about how come guys are just not really launching, not going off on their own and starting families, not wanting to. And he just spends a ton of time talking about that they aren't. You know, he describes what it is to be that, but he never has a solution for it. Here's what we do to help guys to get their shit together and take a more traditional path. I mean, so he definitely doesn't offer a solution. He offers that for a second at the end. He gives a little bit of an explanation for it. And what he says essentially is this, and I very much agree, that parents are too fucking soft. They're not hard enough on them. They're not going, hey, yeah, you fucked that up, so deal with it. They're not going, hey, you're 19, you're not going to college, and you're not paying rent. Get the fuck out of my house. Parents aren't doing that. And I would tell you, he doesn't say this, but that has a lot to do with just social acceptance of it. I mean, kick the fucking guy out. Kick him out of the nest. And I'll tell you this, like, there were a lot of circumstances in my life, but at 19, maybe, yeah, right around there, 19 or 20, my dad basically said, you need to make arrangements. You know, like, you aren't doing anything with your life, so fuck off, essentially. I hated it, and I hated him for that for a long time. But I know, looking back, it was the best thing for me, and I'm not going to give him credit for that because he had a lot of things going on in his life. He wasn't going, this is the best thing for my son, and it hurts me to do it, but I'm going to do it. He had something else going on. I wish I could give him that credit, but I can't. Best thing in the world for me. I learned how to be self-sufficient. I had to. You know, I learned how to find food. I learned how to make money. I learned how to get by. You know, you got to do that. And you build a confidence in yourself in that. And anyway, he explains that that's kind of the reason why, but he never solves the puzzle. He never offers a solution. And that's why I wrote my second book. That's why I wrote this one, Reviving Masculinity, because this is the solution. Okay, this should be Guyland Part 2. Okay, because this is, all right, so here's the situation. Guys are fucking soft and wussy and don't want to really grow up. And here's how you do it. Here's how you fucking grow up. So I wrote this book to do that. mean, it was definitely one of the influences for sure. That's how that goes. I don't know. Like I said, I'm gonna call the show "Get Your Shit Together," because that's my idea. Is that these fucking young guys, man, they need a fucking role model. They needed one when they were young, and it wasn't there. I mean, as I've talked about the numbers, over 80% of single parent households are led by mom. So these kids are living with mom at home. They go to school. All their teachers are female. They don't have any male role models. They don't know what it is to be a guy. And the moms don't know how to teach them how to be a guy. I can't teach a girl how to be a woman. I can't do that. I'd fucking fail. It's reasonable. I mean, for a woman, you can't. It's just not in your wheelhouse. And they haven't had role models. So hey, you know what? This is what your role model should have fucking taught you right here. This is what you should have got from your fucking role models you didn't have. All right. Anyway, gonna call the show "Get Your Shit Together." I'm gonna drop this immediately. It's a Friday, so I'm gonna put it out today anyway, just to get it out there. And anyway, hope something in today's show helped you to get your shit together. Have a great weekend.